Welcome back to Four Quarter Friday. Matt Smith here with you. We also have Steve Hall, and joining us in this segment, we are
appreciate you jumping on.
Welcome back to Four Quarter Friday. Matt Smith here with you. We also have Steve Hall, and joining us in this segment, we are honored to have J.L. Mann Athletic Director Ryan Mahan. This on the heels of South Carolina High School League ruling on realignment, basketball season in full swing, spring sports like baseball and softball starting to practice. Coach, I don't know what being an AD pays anymore, but you sure are busy.
Yeah, we're pretty busy. It's definitely our busiest time of the year with basketball and winter and basketball and wrestling going on, and now all of our spring sports in the open season getting ready to kick off. Official practice in about 15, 16 days. Or actually, it's less than that now, about 10 or 12 days. And it's getting ready to get real again.
Coach, thanks for joining us, man. Me and you have gone. We've known each other for a long time now, maybe back down as far back as 2009, 2010 when you were in Georgetown. And just a pleasure to have you on. And I told you back in the summertime we were gonna have to get together because you also have a cool thing that you do to try to serve your community, your kids and parents inside of the JL Mann area and just all over. And you were telling me a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about what that project is for you and kind of what your goals are for it?
Sure, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. What Steve's referencing is what I call the Coach Approach HQ. And first, it kind of started out when I retired off the field as a football coach. It was kind of like, I kind of want to stay connected, so I'll start something to kind of give to younger coaches like what was given to me as I was coming up. And then this job got in the way, and then began to find a balance between, life outside of here and of course home life, and brought it back at the encouragement of my assistant AD Lamont Wakefield. And I said, I'm gonna go one step further because a lot of our parents and a lot of our kids don't understand the total recruiting process. And so we started concentrating on, a Sunday challenge for coaches, do something this week to help better your program, help better yourself. A coach tip Tuesday, a motivational Monday for players, something that, as coaches, what do we look for? What are college coaches going to look for in you? And then we began focusing, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays and Saturdays on recruitment process stuff, For example, right now we're in the middle of 3 series, one about the NCAA and some of the eligibility aspects there, one about coachability. What do coaches look for in you being coachable, and the walk-on process, which a lot of parents have always had a lot of questions about, how do I walk on? How do we get our kids to walk on? What's going to happen? So we're taking, through about seven steps and 7 videos with each of those.
That's incredible, Coach. I mean, I can tell you from remembering, and this is a long time ago when I was a high school athlete, it was like a foreign language when coaches came and spoke to you. College coaches are going to speak to high school kids assuming they know certain things, but if you didn't have an older brother or an uncle or a parent that played college athletics, you're 15, 16 years old and you don't know what they're talking about.
That's right. And, in my generation, we were part of that where the NCAA began, you got to have a certain GPA, you got to have a certain test score at that point in the late 80s and early 90s, to where now we've gone full circle from, you don't have to have a test score now, but you definitely have to have a 2.3 GPA in core classes. And when you say core classes, people are like, well, what are you talking about? And, they don't realize you got to have 4 Englishes, 3 maths, 3 sciences, 2 foreign, stuff like that. And then on top of that, have the grades and the requirements to get into the institution that you're being recruited by. So it's twofold for all athletes that are getting, recruited as a student athlete.
Now, Coach, we'll circle back to that. I want to ask a quick question in case I've got to sign off here. I really want to get your thoughts on the realignment process, because I feel like J.L. Mann is one of those schools that's caught in between a little bit. Greenville County, Anderson County, Spartanburg County. Tell me from your perspective as an athletic director, how important, say, travel was in a factor, because you've got girls lacrosse, you've got girls flag football now, you've got a tennis team that you're going to have to get to all these region games. Some regions are spread out. So what's your perspective, and do you let your voice be heard in terms of, I don't know, anything, travel or trying to retain rivalries culturally? What's important to you?
Well, I think the important thing is to realize that each classification, before the entire process starts, and it usually starts months in advance, and the league will survey all of us, asking us what's important to us. Regions, how many teams we want in our region, how many schools we believe need to be in each classification or our classification. We need to, what do you want as far as region rivals? Do we want all county schools to remain in the same region, or do you mind being separated? So the high school league asked us all that question, and the realignment committee works real hard at trying to, look at all those things and take in consideration things like travel and rivalries, things like that. For us, obviously, we definitely don't want to lose that rival game with Greenville and all of our sports that we play. That's just so much of a natural rival. But talking to other ads, we all kind of want the same thing. We want to limit our travel, at least in the region, as best as we can. It'd be great if we had every region team and every region game under a 45-minute to an hour trip, but sometimes that's just not going to be possible. You look at Greenwood, and you look at TL Hanna, who's in our region now. Greenwood's a good hour, 15-minute drive, although it's not really that bad of a drive. There's other places I have been, we've had worse drives. Hanna's just 25, 30 minutes down the road. Of course, you got to take in consideration I-85 traffic with that one. But we're kind of in a very fortunate position right now where we're at as far as that goes with travel. But then again, you also want your teams to go out and play quality competition. And you mentioned lacrosse teams. And, we always want to go down to Columbia and go up to the Rock Hill area, the Charlotte area, and play quality lacrosse programs there, as well as playing, all of our rivals around here. So, you have to take that in consideration too.
Coach, I mean, you kind of hit on this a little bit, but are y'all looking at trying to keep those traditional, matchups with TL Hanna in Greenville kind of on the schedule as some of these movements are making in the classification, non-region schedule wise?
Well, we didn't have any conversations with Hanna, because we weren't thinking that Hanna was going to drop down to 4A. So, we try to work on our football schedules November, December for that 2-year process. And so we were thinking we're all going to be in the same region together. And that could change with some of the things that are going on to where we may lose a team that we've already agreed to, by handshake to play as a non-region schedule. But definitely Greenville's on there. I can tell you that game's probably going to be on my birthday, September 18th. It'll be here at JL Mann. That's one where we went through, hey, if you're in the region, we'll play whenever the region schedule says. If we're out of region, we kind of locked in on 2 dates and came up with the September 18th game.
Now, I got another question for you. Let's shift gears a little bit just to the new day and age of high school athletics, and we're starting to talk a little bit about it, but we want to talk about it from a more high level instead of a granular approach when we're talking about the high school transfer portal. This is the first year of that, and I'm starting to see graphics and all that stuff that are popping out, but what is it like as an athletic director dealing with this transfer portal and this climate?
Well, it is what it is to a certain extent. Kids and their families are going to make decisions to do what's best for them. And if that's what they want to do, then, I'm happy for them. Go do what you think's best for you and your child in the situation that you want to be in. At the same time, I think what we've done as a league, at the behest of the South Carolina legislature, we came up with what we thought was the best possible solution to kind of curb it a little bit. We didn't see many transfers in or out of JL Mann, other than the typical 10 to 12 that we get at the beginning of the fall. We're just now starting to look at who we have out for, lacrosse and soccer and all that. We'll figure out who the transfers are then that maybe came in the fall. But I think with what we did as far as, you got to transfer before the first day of official practice. If you don't, then, you can come in after that first official day, then, you're going to be penalized for that late transfer. And then if you transfer twice, there's that penalty of sitting out half the, at least 30% of your games, or so many days, whichever is less. So, I think we did that, and then you add the senior transfer rules to it. And I think there's no perfect solution, but at the time, this is probably the best solution we could have had.
Well, I think there is a little bit of confusion out there, I guess, with the general population, and you kind of see some of that lack of clarity happening when some decisions are made. And we don't on the Four Quarter Friday talk about individual kids and decisions and all that. That's not something we do. But could you help clarify, just for the general public, for our viewers, for us, what does it look like for example, a player that decides to transfer mid-year in his junior year? Let's just say for a fall sport. Does that impact their senior season at all?
It could. As we found out through a process, we had a situation come up in the fall, as a matter of fact. And the league has decided that if they transferred before the actual end of the season, they would be considered a junior transfer. If they had transferred after the end of that fall sports season, they would have been considered a senior transfer, and thus subject to the senior penalties that get put into place during the 26-27 school year.
Okay.
So, there's situations for every transfer, and it's really too deep to go into. But, I think the high school league has done a very good job of trying to take into consideration some of those sort of common sense things that happen, like a family having lost a job in Myrtle Beach and now they got a job up here in the Spartanburg area or the Greenville area, and they had to move. Well, that's, the kid shouldn't be penalized because his family moved. So, they look at the common sense stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of the old way of doing things too. Like for a legitimate transfer, there had to be established change of address, and that stuff is still operating as usual, right?
Right. And, what most people don't realize here in Greenville County, sorry about that, is you can transfer schools, but you have to live in that school's attendance area, or you have to be at that school on special permission or a magnet. And, if anybody paid attention to what East Side appealed for about, their building having a lot of open spaces because they were landlocked and, not having a full building with students in their attendance zone. The district will allow students that want to go to East Side, for whatever reason, be it academics or not, they'll allow them to go to that school on special permission. If not, in Greenville County, everybody's got to be in that attendance zone to go to school. So essentially our rules never really changed, even though the high school league changed that to where, you can go anywhere you want to for school choice purposes.
Right. Well, before we shift gears into, let's just get caught up on JL Mann athletics, because I know that's where the most of your hours mentally and physically are located. But got a quick question for you as far as kind of what you do on your own special podcast, and then as an athletic director, how has recruiting for college shifted with the transfer portal that is now in college. You're seeing less and less scholarships available to, for instance, a South Carolina or a Clemson because they're taking so many of those transfers from that end.
Right.
What is being done? What are y'all doing as coaches at your school as far as guiding a player who in the past might have had that ability to maybe fringe ability to be in that level or Division I level? Are they having to drop down to say D2 and take a spot there and then get into a higher level? Is that playing out at all?
A lot of our guys that went D2 the past 2 years, especially in football, are still with their schools. As far as I know right now, I haven't heard if they entered the transfer portal or not. I don't think any of them did. We just got a visit from one of our players that went to Buffalo, and he's told us he's staying put. He's not going. He loves it there, even though it's frigidly cold. But he's not going anywhere. So, the first thing is everybody believes that all these D1 schools have, like Clemson, South Carolina, have stopped going to visit high schools in South Carolina. That's not the case. They're still coming to visit us. They still want that relationship with us. And that's a great thing to have. If there is an outstanding 5-star athlete, they're going to recruit him. Even an outstanding 4-star athlete or a 3-star, they're going to recruit him. And, the chips are going to fall where they fall. We're lucky to have 2 college coaches, in Coach Sweeney and,
Coach Beamer.
Coach Beamer, thank you. Gosh, dog, I saw his face, couldn't think of his name. That happens to me a lot, when you get over 55, it happens. That believe in recruiting high school athletes still. And that's especially in their home state. So I don't think that's going to change. But yeah, the spots are becoming less and less, unfortunately. But that also opens up more opportunities at D2, D3, NAIA, or, even what we don't have in this state, JUCO colleges, So that opens up possibilities other places. And then, of course, they got that option to go up.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, let's shift gears real quick. Let's go to all about JL Mann. Catch us up. What's going on? Give us like just some things everybody should know about if they're not a parent of a JL Mann high school athlete. Let's educate the whole state of what's going on. We are in winter sports. Basketball is happening. Wrestling is happening. And then if you wanted to highlight any coaches or specific players that are doing special things either in the classroom, off the field in the community, or on the field of competition, I'd love to just kind of hear your passion, because I know, coaches and teachers aren't doing it for the paycheck necessarily. And they do it because they believe in it.
Well, it's funny you asked about the student athlete portion of it, because we just got the link to nominate our student athletes for the South Carolina High School League. We'll probably have in the neighborhood of about 40 or 50 kids in that, I'm hoping. Last year, I think we had like 65. It'd be great to go above that number this year. But I haven't started delving into it, but we got a lot of great student athletes. Last year, our salutatorian was a cross country runner. And, that was great to see. We have a lot of athletes that are in the top 10% of their class. A lot of them are in the top 10 and top 20. This is a great school to teach at. It's a great school to work at. I am surrounded by great people, especially my assistant athletic directors, who take a lot off of me. I got a great principal in Dr. Shannon Gibson, great, administrator that's over athletics directly with Carla Washington. So it's sort of the perfect fit right now. It's a lot of things are going well for us. As you may know, we won 3 state championships in the fall season with the girls and boys swimming and boys cross country. Our girls tennis team played down to the very last point against Spartanburg in the 3rd round, and literally it came down to the last game, the last point, and it could have gone either way. And that was a very good Spartanburg team that beat us that night. Um, our our girls golf team qualified for the first time in about 5 years as a team for the state. So we had a real good fall season. Unfortunately, football didn't go as way as we wanted, but when you have 15 to 20 injuries and you lose 32 seniors and 19 of those were starters, you're going to have a rough season. I don't care who you are. It's going to be rough. And we'll look to bounce back next year. It's not the end of the world. Basketball, our girls and our boys teams both kind of went through a little rough patch. You can tell they're starting to turn around again. The boys, they're competing hard. The girls they played in two really good tournaments in Greenville, Tennessee, and Atlanta, Georgia over the Christmas break against some outstanding team. The first team they played in the Greenville, Tennessee tournament had 3 D1 players on it. And they played them tough and only lost, I think, by 12 points that night.
Wow.
So, our records right now in basketball don't reflect what I'm seeing as far as, how they're competing and whatnot. We're in the region schedule now. We're not exactly where we want to be yet, but the boys are sitting at 2 and 3, I think, and the girls are sitting at 3 and 1 or 4 and 1. If I'm not mistaken, they're 3 and 2. I can't remember. We still got a long way to go to get to those playoffs. Wrestling, we're kind of like in football. We're kind of recovering from losing 6 seniors. And when you lose 6 seniors in wrestling, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Brand new coach as well, who got hired late, but they're competing. They're doing their best. They're not not where they want to be yet, but that program will eventually be where it should be.
As much as I love football, it's my number one. I love it. Wrestling, though, I've always said since I was in high school and had friends on the wrestling team at Lexington High, I think it's the hardest sport there is because it's just you versus the other guy on the mat. And what they got to endure for those short periods, man, it's like you got to be in shape. And now you can't even cut weight like you used to be able to and like wrestle down. I had a friend, his name was Mark Lee, and I tell you, he was about 185 in the off season, and I think he was wrestling at 152 in season. So he looked like a shell of himself. So it's a good thing that we passed those rules.
Yeah.
Because that was not healthy for us back then.
Yeah.
But
you got all those tests now that you got to go through the preseason and stay right around that area.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to, through my research, just give you a chance to kind of brag about some more of your people, because I know your role is to support coaches who are supporting these kids.
Right.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and your philosophy. But boys soccer last year, they finished 25 and 0, won a state championship, and based on my research, they were ranked number 1 in the nation.
Yeah. Won the Max Press Mythical National Championship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like the good old days of before we had the BCS, right?
Yeah.
It was the sports writers naming the champion, right?
And that's not only a great honor to our program, but that's also a great honor to South Carolina soccer, because Max Preps is saying, hey, you got some good soccer teams in South Carolina, which there are. There are some great soccer teams here. And, just across the way, Riverside, won a state championship, and they are excellent. And we got them on the schedule for soccer. So, it's not only a tribute to us, but it's a tribute to South Carolina soccer as a whole.
How was that experience from the boys soccer program last season shifted expectations or just in general? How has it impacted the school and the athletic program itself coming off of that season?
Well, it's a great source of pride. Both the boys and the girls won the state championship. The boys, did it pretty flawlessly. The girls really had to battle. They had a lot of key injuries there at the end of the season. Lost their goalie during the last game of the season to a torn ACL, and just had to battle and just showed great resiliency. So it's a great source of pride for this school. Soccer has always been a great tradition here at JL Mann. A lot of Gatorade Players of the Year. Smith Darby is the returning Gatorade Player of the Year in South Carolina. So, there's high expectations. There's no doubt for the boys and the girls teams.
So you kind of hit on that a little bit. Are both girls and boys, are they returning a good bit for this next season, or
They are.
what's the
For the last 2 years, the girls have lost their two best players mid-year because they've chosen to be early enrollees at Clemson and then at South Carolina. But they just reload. There's such good talent in this area for soccer, and we're fortunate to have some of that good talent here.
Yeah.
The boys lost 2 or 3 key players, but they'll just fill them right in with 2 or 3 key players right back. It's good to have that problem.
All right, next person we're going to highlight, I think you know who I'm going to say, is Coach Evan Jones.
Yes.
He was just named the 2025 South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, who is one of our partners, and we're very thankful for them. But he won the cross-country Coach of the Year back in the fall.
Yes.
Tell us about Coach Jones a little bit.
Well, I think he's still got the trophy sleeping with it. I hope he brings it to the Night of Champions here on the 20th when we're going to recognize him at the Greenwood basketball game. But Evan does such a fantastic job with those kids. He, when we did the interview, he came in with a plan. I mean, detailed. We're going to do this on this day, this on this day. This is what we're going to do in the off season. This is how we're going to progress our runners to make them better. We're not going to try to jam it all in at once. And to say it, his plan has just kind of worked out flawlessly. It has. Those kids, they bought into it. They love him to death. He's continually has anywhere from 75 to 80 kids in that program. And they're hard workers. He's a hard worker. His coaches are hard workers. And, when you work hard, good things happen. And that's what's happened for our boys cross country program.
That's awesome, man. All right, now, so let's do a little rapid fire. You ready? These are going to be easy. We're going to get you out of here because I know you got a lot of stuff to do. As an athletic director, you got besides scheduling, which is a huge part of your job, right? With weather changes for the spring that's coming up. You got oh gosh, I'm blanking on which eligibility.
Yeah.
The eligibility it's the nightmare of spring eligibility, especially at school for you. You got so many athletes.
Yes.
All right. So, the Greenville rivalry. All right, Serene Stadium or a home game at Patriot Stadium. Which has the most electric atmosphere?
Oh, I'm gonna say our place.
Of course, you got to.
Yeah,
I expect.
I gotta say our place.
I got to expect that.
And both stadiums have their appeals. The first Greenville JL-Man game that I was AD for was played over at Serene. I think we had almost 8,000-9,000 people there, and it was a great atmosphere.
Wow.
And they told me about the year before at JL-Man where they had just as many, people standing 6-7 deep on the sides. So I look forward to getting them back over here next fall, and hopefully we won't have a hurricane like we did in 24 wipe out our game.
Yeah, no kidding, right? That's crazy. Yeah. All right, food related. All right, game day fuel. All right, what is the must-have item out of the concession stand on a Friday night, or on in a concession stand in the gym? Okay, and what is the best spot to go to before coming to a JL-Man game?
Ooh.
Restaurant. What is the best restaurant we should go to if we're up there?
For me, out of our concession stand at football games, it's a Chick-fil-A sandwich. About the end of the first quarter, I head over there and grab me a Chick-fil-A sandwich. If I'm on the visitor side with the band concession stand, it's going to be a Bojangles sandwich. So just get some protein in me just to get me through the next 2 or 3 hours.
That's right.
Our basketball concession stand's pizza. Get some Papa John's. I would say it depends on what you're in the mood for. If you want some good pizza, go to Frodo's, just down the street. If you move for barbecue, home hometown or home team, excuse me. I'll
Oh
go
yeah.
down there. You know, that would be my two go-tos.
The fried chicken wings over at home team.
Oh, they're great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, this one might be a little bit of a head scratcher, but it's random, and I like random sometimes. If the Patriot mascot had a walk-up song, what would it be?
Ooh, it would have to depend on who's doing it. Gosh, I'd say with Hottie this year, it would have probably been "The Man" by Aloe Black.
All right, I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'm not well versed in music these days. All right, next, let's do this. If you had to have one superpower to help you on a Friday night as an AD, would it be teleportation, all right, or weather control?
Weather control.
I had a feeling.
Let me turn on the AC during football season.
All right, this might. I mean, how long have you been at JL Mann now, Coach?
This is 3 years now.
3 years. Okay, this might be a tougher question because you haven't been there for eternity. You've been all over the place. All right, so but if you are in Ronald E. Moore Gymnasium, all right, fairly newly named, right?
Yeah, February 6th we'll dedicate it.
If you could go back in time and watch one classic JL Mann game in that gym, which one are you or your community picking?
Oh, wow. That's kind of a tough one. I mean, I've heard of some good battles with Greenville, obviously, in that gym. Also some good battles with Wade Hampton. You know, probably any one of those games or probably a Malden game.
Got it. All right. The Man U script. All right. If you were writing the headline for the school newspaper for the end of the school year, what would it say?
Patriots continue to have a stellar athletic season.
There you
go. Hopefully they'll say they added 3 to 4 more state championships in the spring.
There you go. All right. Man, I think that's out. That's everything, man. Any lasting or parting words that you would like to just highlight of your school or your students?
Yeah, let me highlight a couple of things. Lamont Wakefield, our girls basketball coach, and also my assistant AD, he's approaching 400 career wins. Hopefully we'll get him before this season's over. January 23rd, we're going to induct a new class into our Hall of Fame. February 6th, we're going to formally dedicate the gym to Ronald, Coach Moore. So
awesome.
And then, of course, we look forward to the spring season with soccer, lacrosse, tennis, baseball, softball, track and field.
Well, keep us up to date. You know, we're trying to cover the whole state of South Carolina with this show in every sport. And so anytime you feel like there's a story that we need to be paying attention to and highlighting, please send it our way.
Will do.
But, man, I appreciate you jumping on, my friend, and go Patriots.
Well, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Go Patriots.
Yeah, man.
We're living for the glory of a